Welcome back to Old World Wednesday. In today's video, we are returning to the land of Cathay to finish more of my army. My Cathayan project is obviously stretching out. It's going to take quite a long time to get the entire army finished because I'm lavishing so much love and detail on every single model because I just think it deserves it. So in today's video, I originally planned, when I was like pondering what I should do, I was like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get the cannon sorted. I've already painted the cannon in a video, but all the crew and that cool scenic base and everything just hasn't been touched since then. And then as I started to take the models out, I was just like, no, I don't want to rush through this. So I'm going to just focus on a singular part. So in today's video, I'm just going to tackle the loader ogre that comes with the artillery crew. That single model is all we're going to focus on. And let me tell you, it's such a good model, so jam-packed with detail that it took all day to paint. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Before we get into it though, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone there that continues to support the channels. Liking, commenting, subscribing, all those things are absolutely amazing. Please continue to do those. There's 3 channels, remember, so make sure you're subscribing to all of them. And then everyone that goes the extra mile to support over on Patreon, you guys keep the lights on, the cameras rolling. Thank you guys so much for doing that. Obviously, there's a whole host of reasons to be involved in the Patreon. The Discord server is a pretty gnarly place to be. There's nearly 600 people in there. They all talk about hobby all day. They all support each other. They're all kind of helping each other out. It's a real sense of community in there. We do painting competitions over there. There's community showcases every month over there. You get extra videos. You get access to a podcast, and we do big giveaways every single month. This month we're giving away this Mechanicum army. So if you want to be with a chance of winning this Mechanicum box set, all you need to do is be signed up to Patreon at any tier. Okay, with that all out of the way, let's dive in and start painting up this ogre. Okay, and this is the ogre from the Cathay Cannon crew. As you can see, he's got his big kind of pack on his back where he's obviously being used to haul lots of the bits and pieces, gunpowder, extra ammunition, all the tools and bits and pieces that are needed to keep a Cathayan cannon working in the field. And then obviously he's used to help load and stuff like that as well. So I got the model sprayed black and then grey spear as per usual. And then I'll follow my typical Cathayan painting guide to get that done. So we start with the Gryph-hound orange contrast and we pick out all of the nice kind of cloth areas and we get that blocked in with this contrast. This is obviously an optional extra to take alongside your cannon. You can choose to not pay the extra, I think 30 points or whatever, and include it. I can't actually remember what he does rules wise, but I just know I would pay 30 points extra just to field this model in the unit. If nothing else, usually people who want to kind of sneak behind enemy lines and assault kind of cannon crews are kind of light, fast moving, kind of 5-man, you know, small infantry units that are going to hit the 2 or 3 cannon crew or normal crew and beat the crap out of them. Obviously, they're going to halt in their steps and maybe think twice about assaulting a cannon if it's protected and defended by an ogre, which I think is pretty cool. You know, 5 harpies aren't going to jump across the board and assault a cannon if an ogre is just going to clobber them into the ground. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so we've gotten the orange on, we've gotten the black on. We're on the Gorgunta fur now for any of the belts and straps and obviously his little satchel, his boots. And as I'm painting this up, obviously I'm painting up the backpack the same way as well. If there was any orange sections, I'd put the orange sections on black. There wasn't, to be honest, but the Gorgunta fur is definitely the color I'm going to use for the kind of chest and the barrel that he's lugging behind him as well. So we're going to get those colors blocked in there. And obviously he's got his wrist greaves. I don't know whether you can get such an elaborate name for his versions of them, but I'm going to do those in that same brown leather color as well. Skeleton Horde is going to be used for all of his ropes and straps that are holding down his kind of bits and pieces of his equipment. Lots of rope on him, and there's a whole heap of rope on his backpack as well, so make sure you get that all done as well. And like I said in the intro in the beginning of this, I could have spent the day rushing through the entire cannon crew, but I just don't want to. I want each model to look really, really nice. I mean, my ultimate goal for my Cathayan force is to bring it to a tournament and for it to be considered for best in show, best army. It's not really my style to paint armies to that kind of standard. I don't think I can win a best in show kind of army thing at a big scale tournament. But I would like for people to stop and be like, that army could win that. I would like, that would be enough for me. It got nominated. It's in the cabinets up front with the other 10 armies that are painted really nicely. That would be, I would be over the moon with that. Which means that I want to spend that extra time on every single model and try and make them look as kind of fancy and nice as possible. So that's what I'm trying to do. So obviously there's 3 other crew members on this thing. The kind of, I don't know, water, if you will, and I think the commander of it pointing are fairly similar models. So I can probably paint those 2 miniatures together. But then there's this old man with a wheelbarrow wielding stuff into place. And he's so characterful and thematic and interesting that I want to just paint him by himself and festoon him with detail and spend a lot of time on it, make sure he looks really nice. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm using the Eldari Emerald painting scheme that I used for some of my big creatures and monsters for my Cathayan Force already. That'll just add that little extra bit of spot color in and make him help, blend into the army. I didn't know what other color to do the fish. I was half tempted to try and do something crazy like one of those Japanese koi fish, but then I think they're quite like, you wouldn't just have one of them slapped across your back for lunch kind of thing. I don't think people would take too kindly to you killing a koi fish for food. So I just went for a big kind of magical carp color, which is what I went. Lead belcher was used for obviously all of the metallic parts. Obviously the rings on the barrels, he's got like a cleaver in his hand. The staffs of the, like, I don't know, the water and the whatever you use to light it. I don't know what that's called actually. Big fuse thing. I'm painting gold right now. It's obviously that sets off the cannon charge. And I just realized this moment that I have absolutely no idea what that's called. It's going to annoy me. But just getting that blocked in gold as well. Obviously, the artisans in the Cathayan Force are very good. So those kinds of pieces of equipment are always kind of special looking and look awesome. Reichland Flesh Shade is the color of choice to shade the entire model down from top of the head to the bottom of his boots, backpack, metals, cloth, everything gets done with this. It adds a really nice tone to the whole model, pulls all the colors together, and then gives a beautiful, strong base coat to start layering up. And that's where we switch to our 2-thin coats range. We'd start with Rust Orange. Now I use a triad of oranges and a triad of blacks from 2-thin coats to layer up the orange and black for this model. And then every other paint I use is from Games Workshop. I started this because that's how I started doing the project. My Dogs of War originally using these colors and then moved on to the Cathay as a tester. I did a video on 3 different ways to paint Cathay and I decided to do the orange and black scheme and it was unanimously people's favorite and the one they demanded I do my army in. So that left me forced to do my army in that color, which is okay. Orange is my favorite color, but it's definitely the slowest paint scheme that I had done in that video. But what are you going to do? We're going to take our time with this project, just really kind of lavish attention onto it and just really enjoy it. Going up into that final orange, the orange flare to do the final touch on it, which just really kind of makes everything pop. It looks really nice. And it's such a stark contrast to, I don't know, the black and the silver and stuff. I think as an army, like if you look across the table and see this army, it's going to be very striking against the more kind of natural tabletop settings that you get from the old world. It's green fields and trees and bushes and, grey buildings. And then you just see this bright, luminous kind of orange armies marching across the battlefield. Like, sentinels marching in jade color schemes. You get blimps floating on by and it's just awesome. Okay, on to the blacks. We're going to start with Doom Death Black. And this is almost an all-over coat. The contrast was great. It acted as a kind of a base coat, but it was a touch too grey to act as the mid-tone. So we're just going to go to Doom Death Black and give it a light coat over the top of that, which will then give us the kind of the proper base coat that we needed to move forward with the mid-tone and the highlight of the black. So Death Reaper is the mid-tone for this particular color. And it's like obviously a black with a tinge of grey into it. So it does work a treat to highlight black, kind of like Corvus black would be. And then it actually does just jump straight up into a dungeon stone grey color for the highlight, which is when you have to be super careful because if you over kind of layer with that color, you're going to turn all the black sections like into grey, which is not what we need at all. So as you can see, I'm going fairly light along the edges, getting kind of a frayed highlight. Little scratchy highlights. Obviously it's lots of kind of cracked old leather that's holding those bits on. And then paying attention to any other details. I use this Dungeon Stone Grey to add a quick highlight to the cannonball that's in his hand as well. And then it's time to start working up the skin. So Cadian Flesh Tone was the first color that we applied. And obviously, the ogre faces are just phenomenal to paint up because they're so defined. The only bit I ever struggle with is after you like go past the top of the eyebrows. And then you go along there, bald head. I always kind of struggled with bald heads, which is funny since I have a bald head. Layering them up because I just, I don't really know where to place a highlight on a smooth surface. It kind of baffles me sometimes. So I tend to just do an almost solid coat on the top. I don't know. But all the ridges and rough recesses on the face make it a dream to highlight that section. And then especially when you go with that second coat, that Berserker blood shade that I love using for skin, which is watered down a little bit off my wet palette, and then applied to add kind of a rosy rouge to the skin, which I think an ogre would have. And then you just go in with your Kislev flesh and add the last touch of highlights to the skin. And as you can see, when I start using the brush here, it's very small movements. It's very small touches with the skin to just really emphasize those raised areas and really add all that detail and definition to the face. And obviously we did the arms and hands and stuff as we were going as well. Morn Fang Brown was then used to highlight his boots. There's like little greaves, and then there's a whole host of different bits and pieces on his backpack that need just a little bit more attention with that. So make sure you do go in and do your barrel and your chest and his little satchel bag and all those bits. And then of course we're just going to do a very quick Morghast brown layer, and that's just going to be on all the kind of rope sections. And as you can see, I'm just following the actual design of the rope, all those individual links. If you just add a very small touch highlight, it looks really tedious here, but it's actually really quick. It only takes maybe 30-40 seconds to do it across the entire model, and it does make quite a big difference to the aesthetic of the rope if you just add that nice bright color to it. And then obviously we have all the parcels and straps and stuff on the back of his backpack, which obviously need to be layered with that Morghast bone as well. And then the, I don't know, the swabble or whatever, the thing for the rammer, the jammer, the thing for pushing the cannonball and the wadding and stuff down the breech of the cannon. That's obviously on his back as well. And I did those in the same color, so. And after that, it's time to go back to our metallics. So we're going back to Leadbelcher, and we're just going to quickly layer up all those metallic sections. Obviously, this ogre is still from the Ogre Kingdom, so he still has a gut plate, even though we've added the orange and black that's traditionally used for the army. The rest of it will be metallic. So even though he has like obviously embraced the Cathayan life, he still sticks to the ogre tradition of protecting his most valuable asset, which is his gut, which I think is really cool. And then of course we have all the silver on the back, all the different parts of the chest and barrel. Cabalite green, Sabarite green, Gauss Blaster green. I'm going to very quickly blow through this, but all it is just for the fish. So we've already done, like I said, that Aldari emerald color for that initial base coat. It's gotten washed with the Reikland Flesh Shade. And now, as you can see, we're just going to go up with those 3 blue colors. And as each layer goes on, it just gets a bit more definition. It pops a little bit more, and it looks pretty freaking awesome. And with the last highlight, as you can see, like the skin, it's just small touches and little movements and just adding that color to the highest points. There is something about spending the little bit of time on all those extra details that Games Workshop puts on models. A lot of people can just kind of push them to the background and forget about them. But when you do actually go in and paint them all, it does make a huge difference in the model, and it makes it kind of all worthwhile. So there we saw the finished ogre. And as you can see, this is him put into his base, ready to rock and roll. Obviously, I've got the other bits to do on the actual scenic base itself, but the cannon and the ogre is finally finished. We're finally ready to see what they look like together, and I love it. I think they match it really well, and I'm just really excited to get stuck in and get the rest of it done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do let me know by liking the video and making sure you're subscribed. Check out the Patreon for all the other extra benefits. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to work on the old world week in, week out. I'll see you in the next one.